Oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on. It is not finding a video file, and it's putting me on half screen. I can't figure that one out. Let me open a new screen here and see if it puts me on full screen. Yes, I don't know what happened. That is so weird. But we will find the video file. And I think, lipstick. Or I just got done eating. So that could be part of it. That could be Tabasco. I don't know. I'm a hot mess. That's what's going on. So let's find this video file. Why would it not find the video file? But let's chat for a few moments. It's been a week. I told you I'm going to start doing this regularly again, which I am. Now, what video file couldn't it find? Was it this one? Yes, that's the one it could not find. Okay, I got it. I need to delete that file, but I think the next one is good. So what are we doing today? Because I opened a new screen, I can't put up for you, or maybe I can if I can locate it on my desktop. Yes, I can. Let's try this. All right, you can subscribe down below. I would really appreciate it. Of course, you can wait to the end if you're new and you actually haven't seen the show before. And follow me on Twitter for spicy content. It's at Karen Ann Harlows. And last but not least, I would really appreciate your support on Patreon at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. And super chats and what they call them, tips or whatever afterwards are very, very appreciated. And Dave asks if this is going to be a Jerry Springer flashback. No, this was actually a CNN interview from 1982. It's not original. Like, this idea is not original. I got this idea actually from this atheist show I watch, because I watch a lot of different content, and I think it's called Telltale. And I saw he was doing a commentary on this, and I stopped watching, and I'm like, this is great. Like, the little bit that I watched of his commentary, so go check that out, because that's who I got the idea from, but I didn't watch the rest of his commentary. So whatever you hear from me, if it happens to be similar to what he says, it's spontaneous. But if you like listening to the skeptic verse, or whatever you'd like to call it, on YouTube, that's a great atheist channel to subscribe to. You know, I'm not an atheist, but I do watch a lot of their content. He's also ex-Jehovah's Witness, so he does a lot of commentary on that. So it was this 1982 interview with, and Dave Davis is right, the thumbnail is from the 80s. It is 1982. A CNN interview with the then, I don't know his name, I don't care to know his name, the then Grand Wizard, which just makes me laugh anyway at these just completely obnoxious titles. But it was an interview with the Grand Wizard of the KKK at the time. And when Telltale was going through it, he was noting how there were so much similarities to what we're seeing today. So I am going to do a little bit of monologue before we get into it. If you're wondering why I'm wearing the Lady Liberty headset, is because, you know, me and the mute button, I have to mute when the video is playing, otherwise it comes out my Mac speakers, and then I forget to unmute, and you guys are yelling at me in comments, you're muted. So there's another one I'm going to be doing soon. Some of you guys may have saw on Twitter about that Nazi guy on the Jubilee. I forget what they call that debate show, but it's like that circle where they sit down with the guy at the beginning of the table, you know, and they have a timer, but it was the proud Nazi, and he ended up getting fired from his job for the things he said on there. Now, I'm not going to do commentary on that. Plenty of others. I am going to find that original clip. If anyone has it, shoot me the link, because all I can find on it now is commentary on it, and I want the original clip, because we've got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. 20 versus 1 surrounded. That is it. I want the original Jeremiah. I want the original Nazi video. Houston, we have a problem in the libertarian movement. Now, I'm not saying that that guy on the Surrounded show, and obviously the Grand Wizard we're going to be dealing with today, obviously didn't come out of the libertarian movement. But particularly on that Surrounded show, there are some things the Nazi guy said that some libertarians would say. Some of what I would think is the non-objectionable things. Of course, Hassan, the progressive who was debating with him, found very offensive, such as being against democracy. Well, that's something that a lot of libertarians would agree with. So I used to laugh back when Nick Sarwark was chair, when everyone was screaming about the libertarian to far-right pipeline. But these past years have convinced me it's there. It is most definitely there. But I wouldn't call it far-right or alt-right. It's the post-libertarian. And a lot of that is the type of content that, frankly, we are seeing out of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. And freedom, since I resigned on my own terms, I can say what I want. So now I can say what I want. That is just utter crap that is coming out of there. And that's a perfect example of the danger of the libertarian to race realist, or, you know, white nationalist, Christian nationalist, whatever you want to call it. That pipeline is there. And thank you very much, Jeremiah, because I am going to do a show on that, because there are going to be points when Mr. Nazi talks that I agree with some of his points, but we got to talk about where it goes wrong. Because if we don't face this as libertarians, the movement is done. We are just going to be passive little porcupines that get run over by these vile philosophies. So this is kind of a taster to that. Again, this isn't necessarily like, you know, obviously this is a Grand Wizard from 1982, but some of the stuff we're going to hear is going to sound shockingly modern. And maybe that's just because I'm not a racist. I didn't grow up around racists. So it might just seem shockingly modern to me today because I'm exposing myself to it and it's been around this whole time. But to me, I'm like, wow, you know, what a 1982 and the same talking points. And I know racism itself has always been around, but I do think there's been an explosion of it. But of course, they call it something different. You know, they call it noticing. Sorry for noticing. Well, you know, I'm not sorry for noticing that you're a racist. So let's go on and let's pull up Mr. Grand Wizard on CNN. And we're going to have to stop very often for commentary so that I don't get hit with a copyright. Because even though it's so old, I would guess CNN's probably pretty aggressive with their content. So we do have to do transformative content here. So hopefully this video file will play. Okay, let's take it, Mr. Grand Wizard.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my humble duty tonight to introduce you to the Grand and Imperial Wizard of the Invisible Knights of the Ku Klux Klan.
Okay, I'm not normally one to like make fun of the way people look, but I have no problem doing this. My God, what a LARPer. Look at this guy. With the conehead hat on. And it's like, dude. Like, I could just picture him in his basement, like, playing some real shitty video game. Is it just me? I'm just like, it's so cringe. Like, okay, let's continue with Mr. Grand Wizard. Where's his wand? That's what I want to know. Where's his wand?
Mr. Bill Wilkinson. Oh, Imperial Wizard, can you tell me and us, 100 years after your predecessors set the South aflame with cross burnings, lynchings, and other events, you should be bothering this country still.
To begin with, I believe a slight rebuttal is in order for your opening statements, or the opening statements that was made about the Klan. We are not anti-Catholic. We are not anti-Semitic.
Okay, this is what's funny. Okay, and it's Imperial Wizard, so it's even more ridiculous than I thought. It's not even Grand Wizard. It's Imperial Wizard. And the way the host keeps calling him, oh, Imperial Wizard, it's just so funny to me. So he you know, the host points out the historical horrible things, and Mr. Imperial Wizard here goes, oh no, we're not anti-Catholic. Like, he just brought up them burning crosses and all that. Oh, but, you know, we like puppies. It's just like, oh, issues. There are definite issues going on here.
We believe in the white race. We believe that at this point in time that white Americans are being treated as second-class citizens, that the federal...
Okay, let's stop. That sounds very, very modern. And I like talking about these points because I'm not a leftist, though some people will see the pink hair and immediately think so. There are going to be some things that in a tiny nugget I agree with that he then projects into racism. So he says whites are being treated like second-class citizens. No, like, stop that. That's ridiculous. But do you have government-encouraged discrimination, race-based discrimination, that had happened through force? It had happened against black people. It has happened against white people. It has happened against everybody. And everyone can find a legitimate grievance, and then they blow it into something vile and horrible like this. Instead of disliking the government, which would be a perfectly rational response for saying, oh, they're forcing quotas on X industry, because I don't know really what was going on in 1982. Who you should be mad at is the government. You shouldn't be mad at other races. And you shouldn't make it about your whiteness. You should be making it about the absolute humanity of everybody. And this is where things are going wrong as well in the libertarian movement. We are not centering it in a humanitarian view. We are centering it. We're being very identitarian, and that way lies madness and bigotry. Continue.
Federal laws, the civil rights laws, have created a dual system of justice in this country. A set of federal laws that protects the interest of minorities and local institutions.
Okay, now remember, some of these federal... Oh, God, we could get into a whole thing with the Civil Rights Act and things like that. I do not believe, as a libertarian, and this is standard libertarian beliefs, that the government should discriminate against anyone. They should not be allowed to. So the government enforced, Jim Crow laws and things like that were abominable. Now, this guy would have been in favor of it. However, on the flip side, I don't think that the government can force private citizens not to be assholes. So, as a libertarian, if a private citizen wants to discriminate against pink-haired older women and do not want to serve me, then I don't want to give them my business. There are plenty of people who will take my pink-haired money. It's green. And eventually, society turns on those people in a much more effective way than the government. See, the government trying to force people not to be bigoted assholes empowers and leads to guys like this, because then they get to make themselves out to be the victim. So when libertarians say that they are against the private sector law part of the Civil Rights Act, because they're not against the government sector part, it's because it does empower people like that, this, to give them some kind of goal of victimhood. It's not because we think private discrimination based upon race or other immutable characteristics is good. Well, I'm not going to say none of us do, because New Hampshire. But the vast majority of libertarians have the view that I do. That no, it's gross and it's wrong. It's just that there is a better way to deal with it that will lead to longer lasting change, will not foster this kind of victim mentality because of government force being used. It will be social ostracization. I guess I'm not getting the word out. Now, does that mean that there will be pockets, some communities that are just absolutely racist? Yeah. And you want to know what? I would prefer the racists all get together and self-segregate, so we all know to stay away from them. I don't want to force them to be around people they don't want to be with that way. But if everyone else is like, well, that means we get to discriminate against you. No, you know how in the Jim Crow era, no blacks, no service, no bigots, no service. And let them go all off and have their little KKK commune and dance around in their Casper the Ghost costumes. Go LARP in the woods somewhere. So, yes, these people are vile, but they are empowered because of the force of government used. You cannot force people to good people. You can't. You cannot force people to be good people. Okay.
But Grand and Imperial Wizard, if I may,
of white people.
If I may interrupt, if I might be so bold as to interrupt the Imperial Wizard, it says on a sheet that you people hand out to the young and the youths of our high schools, it says, if you want to join the Klan, quote, I swear that I am of white, non-Jewish.
Except white. And I wanted to point out something to Dave, because I have a statistics meter in my program. Most people watch on Twitter now. YouTube views have been way down. Most people watch on Twitter, and it looks like right now between Twitter, this combines Twitch, but Twitch usually doesn't have very many. There's about 150 watching live right now. So yeah, YouTube's not a good metric anymore. But y'all watching on YouTube, on Twitter, go over and give it a like on YouTube. It does help boost the algorithm. YouTube.com/Pink Flame of Liberty.
Heritage. Are you fed up with special privileges given to blacks? That's a quotation from your own literature.
Absolutely. We are
well,
a
what
Christian.
What do you mean you're not anti-Semitic?
We are a Christian organization.
No, you aren't. Go to hell. I'm just right there. No, you're not. There is neither Jew nor Greek, which was kind of like, from A to Z in biblical time and biblical speak. There's none of that. There's neither male nor female, nor Jew nor Greek, but all are one in Christ Jesus. No, you are not Christian. You are of the son of perdition.
We also don't allow Buddhists or Muslims or atheists in the organization.
When did you take in the Pat Buchanans? When I was a kid in Dubuque, I was the Ku Klux Klan, which was then fairly powerful in Indiana, about 1922 or 3, somewhere in there. You were anti-Catholic.
The Klan has had different views from time to time on lesser issues. Mm-hmm. The one issue we've never changed on is that of segregation. We believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races. In fact, that's not a unique stand. Billy Graham, just a few years ago, himself segregated his crusade audiences. He preached segregation.
Okay, we're going to stop 1 second. We're going to get into what you said, but Nova Nocturnus had a question that newer viewers, like my typical viewers, will know the answer to this, and it's not a bad question. Newer viewers might not. So I did find it important enough to kind of go off on a rabbit trail. So I'm putting up here. And sorry, I don't know your gender, so I'm just going to say they. They said, you can have laws about murder and assault and sending death threats, though. Is that not using the law to compel people to be good? I don't think I said be good, but if I did, that was sloppy wording of me. You can't compel people not to be assholes. Okay, just being a bigot, just saying, I don't like X race, because, you know what bigots say. That's just being an asshole. It's words. It's just words. It's not threats. No, you can't compel people to not be assholes. The reason why it's perfectly justifiable to have laws about murder and assault and credible threats of bodily injury is because that literally harms somebody physically. It's not a freedom issue. It's a negative rights issue. So just by virtue of being human, you have certain negative rights. And what a negative right is, that you have the right to be free from aggression. And aggression isn't mean words. The only role of an enforcer, because I'm an anarchist myself, but right now we do have a state, so let's just deal with the world we live in. The only role of the government should be to protect people's negative rights. So yes, certainly there should be laws about murder and assault and sending death threats. But no, there should not be laws about being an asshole and saying mean things, or with your own business and your own property saying you don't want to serve certain people. What should happen in response to that is that decent people should boycott the hell out of that person. That sort of thing. We might do another show on that, but I at least did want to, that was a good question, so I wanted to bring that up. And Nova, apologize in case they misheard what I originally said, and I probably just said it sloppily, because I tend to assume, because I do have a real regular faithful audience, that they know where I'm coming from, so I was really happy to explain that. So now he is talking about how some Christians behaved shamefully in the past, and I think he said Billy Graham even, that there were segregated worship rallies and things like that, and that's shameful. That doesn't make it Christian. Christians have done some terrible things, as have people of every other religion. It doesn't necessarily make it of that religion. What university was it? Bob Jones University used to like not allow. It wasn't that they were segregated. They didn't allow black people to attend, and that's gross. And I don't remember whether the government actually compelled them to finally accept black students, or it was public pressure, because there's the whole freedom of religion thing mixed in there. I think it was public pressure that did. And let's just talk about, and I'm not trying to offend any of my Mormon watchers, but there is one point in the Mormon church where they would not allow black people to hold the priesthood. I'm not Mormon myself, so I might get some things wrong, but now they do. The government didn't force them to do that. Public pressure led to that change, and that's a great change. You don't want racism in your religion. And apologies to any Mormons if I got that slightly wrong, or LDS, I know is what you prefer now. I'm just used to using Mormon. No offense again meant. And thank you for the super chat, Dave. Okay, so let's continue.
Segregation, The Southern Baptist and the National Baptist, one was black, one was white. They practiced and preached segregation.
let me ask you something.
So we didn't invent segregation. We
All right,
just
let me ask you
still
about-
believe in it.
Let me ask you about something in
No one is claiming you invented it. It's claiming that you're still living in the dark ages. I mean, there's plenty of misogynists today. I don't think they invented misogyny. I mean, misogyny has its roots way, way back. But just because people in the past did it, don't mean you should be doing it today. I mean, people in the past used to do a lot of really weird stuff and bad stuff. But that doesn't, I mean, they used to bleed you when you were sick and be like, well, I didn't invent bleeding, but you got a fever. We're just going to razor into your back and let out some blood. I didn't invent it, man. I didn't invent it.
did correct it, let me say, before the show started, something I was unaware of. But there are a number of Klan organizations, and I gather it is not yours, who march in tandem, arm in arm, with members of the American Nazi Party. Now, the Nazis were responsible for the murder, not simply of Jews in Germany, but American pilots, American soldiers. They are guilty of all manner of horrid atrocities. They have on their, I guess on their record, some 250,000 American dead. Now, why would any patriotic American, or one who calls himself a patriotic American, be anywhere near the swastika, the insignia of Hitler's Germany?
Well, as you conceded before the show, I did clear up that point. The Klan, the Invisible Empire, which I head, detests Nazis as much as we do communists.
Well, you're not a very good ruler of your invisible empire, oh Lord God, Imperial Grand Wizard, if you're not even controlling your fellow sheet wearers from marching with Nazis, if you're saying that you guys don't agree with Nazis. I think you need to brush up. I know he's probably dead by now, so I'm speaking in the past to this asshole. Brush up on your imperial skills because they appear to be lacking, as has been pointed out here. And something just historical I wanted to bring up that I found fascinating. For those of you who don't know, I am coming from Colorado. And I am in a basement, by the way, but it's not my mom's, it's my own house. As you could tell, my mom's long since passed. But Denver used to be absolutely controlled by the Klan. Now, Denver's a pretty progressive city right now. I'm a libertarian, I'm not a leftist, I'm not a rightist, however you want to put it. But like Denver's very progressive right now. I'm not a progressive. But it used to be absolutely controlled by the Klan, which is shocking to me. Because even in some of its early history, Denver had some progressive ideas about women's suffrage and things like that. But Colorado's got some shocking history of Klan control. I know that was a bit of a tangent, but those of you who know me know that I'm a history buff, so I was just starting to look into that.
But I'd like to make one thing clear, that there's too much hype today about the Germans and the Nazis. Let's not forget that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and they led to death marches in Bataan. I don't believe that we should condemn all of the Germans for something that happened in Germany 40 years ago. And I do condemn what Hitler did to any.
Why would any
anyone.
patriot, someone who calls himself a patriot?
So he was complaining. Okay, let me see if I get this right. So, yes, the Nazis were bad, but here's this other group that did bad things, and I personally don't think we hate them enough. So, rather than, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm just trying to grasp what logic is here. So rather than advocating we need to hate what the Japanese did more, you're advocating that we need to hate the Nazis less. I need to find my sound, like I haven't been podcasting, I know it's YouTubing, whatever you call it. I'm trying to find that one sound clip I have here. Here I am again with my thing here, right here.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. Somebody, make it make sense. Oh my God, I'm gonna need to get refamiliarized with my sound clips.
And a Klan's groups with which I guess you're associated with members, if not the leadership, why would they march with people who are march under the swastika?
We don't.
You don't. Why do your colleagues
Others
do that?
I believe, to make it clear at first, we're the only national Klan organization left. There have been those that have come and gone. It's sort of like the political parties, the Democrats, Republicans, American Independents. They come and they go. They splinter and they regroup and rejoin. Right now, we are the major unquestioned Klan organization in America. There's some people that we have expelled from our...
So this is the battle royale of who's the Klaniest of them all. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the Klaniest of them all? Mr. Imperial Lord God Grand Wizard here is claiming so. Let me see if I can find another.
It's a scandal, girls.
Yes, it is a scandal, girls.
organization that will start other branches. In their anxiety to get membership and support, they will join with anyone, including Nazis.
This is not your organization, doesn't believe that. But I believe a quote by you I read in a book on the Klan today. You were denouncing the quote, I think it was Jew-controlled media. Have you used that term?
I may have used that term.
It's a direct quote.
Well, I might have used that term once in a while. But, okay, so doesn't that sound so familiar, though, right now? Don't we see that everywhere? It's like everything is, it's coming up again. Blame the Jewish people for everything. Now, I understand not being a fan of what the country of Israel is doing. But like he said, you shouldn't be importing what the government of Germany did to all people of German ancestry. You don't import that you don't like with the government. I don't like any government. So saying I don't like the government of Israel shouldn't be any surprise. I'm not a fan of any government. To all Jewish people of all time. That is just crazy. So I'm just going to pull another random sound clip.
Bitches.
Yes, bitches. Okay, let's continue.
Why are you
wait a
running
minute, I
around?
want to go. My brother came back from the airborne in Vietnam, and he told me, and that of the bodies that he took out as a medical officer, he said, 50% of those guys were black kids. Served in the United States and Vietnam. This was it was a crack frontline unit, and these were American blacks who died in higher numbers for their country in Southeast Asia in that war than did white Americans, as a matter of fact, in the Vietnam War. Now, how can you be against a race which contains people who are out there fighting for their country just as much as white Christian Protestant Americans are?
That's something else that needs to be cleared up, Pat. We're not against the black race. We're not against. We believe in free enterprise for this country. We believe that everyone should have the same rights.
Well,
Right
Mr.
now-
Wizard, it says
wait a
right
minute.
here. Wait a minute.
Right-
Mr. Wizard. Mr. Wizard. Basically what he's trying to say, let me just decode this into historical language we could all understand, is bullshit, but with the veneer of respectability. What he is saying is separate but equal. That's what he's saying. We're all for equality of the black folks. They just need to be equal together, away from us white folks.
Mr.
Now,
Wizard, let
right,
me interrupt you
I-
for a minute, Mr. Wizard. It
You
says
didn't
right
let
here,
me finish.
you believe in the final solution, which is black repatriation to Africa. Now, do you really
Abraham
think
Lincoln. But now
you're
look,
running around on this
I'm
bed
not going to
sheet?
be cut off in the middle.
No, but I'm not going to be shut off either. You're running around on a bed sheet. I don't have the bed sheet. But I just want to tell you, can you imagine? I want to ask you this question.
The goat. I wish I need a sound clip for that. Goat. Hey, I'm not running around in a bed sheet. You're the one with the bed sheet. I'm not going to be cut off either. Okay, dude, you're badass. Salute.
Can you imagine this country repatriating all the black Americans that Pat just spoke about to Africa?
No.
I mean, what kind of nonsense
No, I
is
can't.
that? Well,
I
what are you
sure
saying
can't.
it for then?
I'm not saying it.
Well,
You
it
said
says right here.
No, that's your paper. That's not my paper.
That's your paper. I took the
No,
quote
no,
and
no,
wrote
no,
it on
no.
this blue
That's
paper.
not my paper. Now, to get
Is
back
that-
to
is-
it,
is that
to
not
get back
true,
to it, now
William?
just a minute. I answered your question. Now, I want to finish what I was saying. We feel that affirmative action is discriminating against white people, and there is no question about it. Two wrongs don't make a right. Because black people were hurt and discriminated against in the past does not justify the discrimination
now,
against white people now.
Mr. Wilkerson,
And we're
I
asking
didn't
for an
ask you-
end to that.
Look, I'm against.
See, he's doing the Mott and Bailey. If you guys don't know that debate tactic, it's where you retreat to something that's more easily defensible to make your obnoxious, undefensible views kind of inherit the maybe respectability is not the right word, or reasonableness of other things. So he's retreating to something that's more defensible. I agree. I believe in a meritocracy. White, black, yellow, pink, whatever. That is a very easily defensible position. Now, I know some people will disagree with me, but I think I've laid enough foundation on the show that it's not based upon any kind of bigotry. It's based upon my libertarian values. So he's retreating to that rather than, so he's retreating to the high point rather than having to defend the low point of actually they do think blacks are inferior and, you know, need to be repatriated and the whole cross burning thing. You need to learn to recognize the classic Mott and Bailey, because that happens all the time with the extreme right influence that is appearing in some libertarian circles. Or they'll tell you, what, are you offended by facts? And they'll put up these statistics that they will spin in a certain way and not take into factor. And I did a show on this. I can't remember. Perhaps somebody else might remember what it's called. You know, oh my goodness, this one statistic say that this particular segment of society is more violent, but they won't go on to say what they are deeply implying. It's because they're that way by nature, rather than looking at other factors. So do not let people get away with the Mott and Bailey. One thing I will give that 20 versus 1 show, I will give that Nazi guy credit for, is he didn't try to pretend he wasn't a Nazi. He actually came right out and said, you know, what most people are too scared to come out and say. Now, it was horrifying, but I'd rather people just be blunt and come right out and say it. You know, mask off. Let's sheet off.
Discrimination. I'm
Okay,
against racial
good.
quotas. I'm against affirmative action as it's practiced. But you said, when I introduced you, I didn't say that your organization was. I said, historically, to most Americans, you're anti-Catholic and anti-Semitic and racist. In other words, anti-black. You said,
Okay.
we're not anti-Catholic.
Right.
We're not anti-Semitic. You didn't deny the racist thing.
Well, it depends on your definition of racist.
What-
I'm a
what-
segregationist, okay? I believe that God has commanded me not to mix with other races.
How far
For that
would
reason, I want to have.
There is neither male nor female nor Jew nor Greek, but all are one in Christ Jesus. So where do you get that from in your Christian religion? And actually, if we want to just go Old Testament, God commanded that you not discriminate against the foreigner amongst you, that you not mistreat them. So meaning the non-Jew.
Schools where I can send my children to a white school. I want to be able to go to my white neighborhoods, to white businesses,
All right?
for those
can do
things.
that.
So if that
You
terms
can
me as
do
a
that.
racist, then I'm a racist.
Wait a minute, you can do
Okay,
that.
where's the clap? We agree. You are a racist, okay? And I actually do want people like you to hole up in your little communities so that the rest of people that truly desire universal human flourishing could stay the hell away from you. You got the cooties. I hate to tell you that, but you got the cooties.
Can't have tax exemptions in your all-white school. And if
Well,
it's a public school, now black kids whose parents' taxes pay for that school, they got a right to go to that neighborhood school. Now, if you want an all-white school, all-white academy, you can do that right now. You just don't get a tax exemption for it. So what's your complaint?
You say you can do that. Now maybe I can, maybe you can, but what about the poor people that don't have the money to send their children to private schools? They can't. They're being deprived the right to practice their religion because they don't have...
Racism isn't a religion. And in fact, you could homeschool your children in your all-white family.
money to send them to a private school. There's no reason why in this great land of ours we couldn't have a three-tiered school system, a black school and a white school and an integrated school.
Separate but equal. You just yearn for the days before Brown versus Board of Education, don't you, Mr. Imperial Wizard?
And give everyone their choice. We would have much less dissension, we would have much less racial problems in the schools, and if those people that are seeking to integrate the races in this country really were seeking to do the best for both races, they would adopt this system and let integration proceed gradually.
What do you think our founding fathers meant when they said "we, the people of the United States"?
Well, I won't get into that debate, but
Well, I know, but you're sitting here in your bed sheet telling us all that the only thing you're against.
You're really upset about my bed
Oh,
sheet.
yeah.
Oh, yes, because it's ridiculous to be on a serious show and you got a guy that looks like, it's just a really bad costume, dude. It's not a good look. Yes, that dress makes you look fat.
I think, if I were you, I would be so ashamed of myself. I mean, I can't imagine walking around in that silly costume telling people to be against blacks and against Jews.
Have you ever seen the Pope and the Cardinals in their costumes?
Yeah, but they're religious and they're for something, and you're just nothing but against something, and you're against the very spirit of this country.
I believe in the same God.
You're
that the
against
Pope
the
does.
thing.
No, we're
You're
not.
against the thing that makes this country a unity and that makes this country great. And I think you're a disgrace.
You know nothing about what I believe and what
I just
stand
heard
for.
what you believe.
And you think
Now
that's
you tell
wrong?
me,
I believe in God. Is that wrong?
do you deny that?
Oh my God. I believe puppies are cute. Is that wrong? I like vanilla ice cream. Is that wrong? How dare you judge me? Oh Lord.
You said this, this is the literature you're handing out to schools, to school children in America. I just quoted this from your own pamphlet. Are you fed up, it says here, with blacks following you home, trying to beat you up?
That's
Do you
right.
deny that you said that?
No, I don't. And let me tell you, that happens more times in America than what you can shake a stick at. Blacks.
Blacks try to follow you home and beat you up. I mean,
We've had
really.
more racial...
I'm just going to tell you. I don't know, maybe I'm missing out, on the American experience here. But I've never had a black follow me home and beat me up. It's never been happened. In middle school, I actually got beat up by a bunch of white girls. I gave pretty good. But no. I never had a black person follow me home and beat me up. And I once had this race realist. And at the risk of saying, oh, I've got a black friend, hopefully I've demonstrated my bona fides throughout this video. So, I was terribly bullied in middle school. If it's not immediately apparent just by the fact that I'm a libertarian, I have autism, okay? So I had some weird quirks. Terribly bullied in middle school by white people, by the way. And when it came time to go to high school, I would have rathered jump off the Empire State Building than go back to school with those same horrible people that were just bullies. So at the time, There was what was called the magnet school program. I don't know if they have those all over the country. It was a thing in Florida where there were schools that were very imbalanced racially. Either they were all black, mostly black, or minority, mostly white, whatever it might be. And they were trying to attract, and it was usually mostly the minority schools because they had worse funding, because they're based upon a tax basis in neighborhoods where the values weren't as high. So I got recruited by a magnet program at a school, and people once pounced on me once because I said it was 97% black. That was inaccurate. It was 97% minority. It was 3% white, probably about 70-something% black. The rest were various other minorities. So I was part of a 3%. I voluntarily chose to go to, in my area, and y'all can look it up if you want to. I don't care. I'm from South Florida. Look up Blanche Ely High School. That's where I went to high school. I had the time of my life. I was elected class president. This white girl, weird autistic white girl, in my junior year. So it's Blanche Ely High School, Pompano Beach, Florida. Look it up. So a lot of people will go, you live in Castle Rock, Colorado. It's like 99.8% white. That's true. When I first moved here, because I'm originally, before I moved here, was from Boynton Beach, Florida, which was like my neighborhood was like the United Nations. You know, I had somebody from a different country. Our block parties were just amazing. South Florida is way different than Douglas County, Colorado. But my husband will tell you, when I moved here, I was like, this is the whitest place I've ever been to in my life. Like, I'm like, where, like, I preferred socially the demographic diversity that I had in South Florida. Now, I'm not saying Castle Rock isn't a beautiful place to live. I'm not saying it's a racist place to live, but it is not a very diverse place to live. I had one of my old friends from South Florida, a coworker, had come to visit me. She happens to be black. She's hilarious, but she came to Castle Rock and she's like, damn, I feel like a raisin in a bowl of milk. And I'll just never forget that because I laughed so hard. But anyway, all those people who go, you only have these views that you have because you live in lily white Castle Rock. Well, I moved to Colorado in my 40s. I spent most of my days in Boynton Beach I could tell you I was in Boynton Lakes North, right off of Hypoluxo Road, just west of I-95, went to Blanche Ely High School, okay? I have had plenty of experience with diversity, and I loved it.
You're a damn disgrace to the country.
Oh, Stephen, you went to Hallandale. I know Hallandale High. So you're familiar with Ely. And now it's called Blanche Ely again. It went from Blanche Ely to just Ely. It was just called Ely when I went there. And now it's back to Blanche Ely. But yeah, I had friends who went to Hallandale.
No. Oh, yes, you are.
I have a strong belief.
You know
in
what?
fact,
You people were
fact,
beaten. I don't know what we're doing in 1982 talking to you.
Well, that's your problem, Tom. But let me
Well,
tell you one thing. I'm
okay,
not beaten.
fair
the Klan
point.
is not beaten, and the white race is not beaten. No more than the Democrats is beating or the Republicans is beaten. They're all fighting for the things that they believe in, and we believe in something.
All right, what
and
do you
we're
believe in?
earnestly through the law.
Well, let's get
Now, you tell me what you were
Trying to
against.
achieve
What do
it.
you believe in?
What we believe
What are
in.
you for?
We believe in God, we believe in the United States of America, and we believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races. Not because we hate the other races or because we feel that we're better or worse, but
We're gonna
because
have to
we
take a
feel it's
break.
God's commandment. And if you criticize that in our religion, then you're
Oh,
criticizing the Christianity
God.
for the last 2,000 years.
All right.
Oh, well, that was interesting. Blast from the past, but doesn't it feel peculiarly modern? Now, before all of the the conservatives come jumping in, yeah, I condemn it just as much when the progressives do it. It makes me puke in my mouth when I hear progressives arguing for segregation. I believe in one race, the human race. Sorry if that's just very Gen X of me, but that's how I was raised, and that's what I believe. It says my battery's low, and I can't stand that mechanical. Oh, my hair's all nutty. So, all right, that was fun. So I'm glad Jeremiah sent me that Nazi clip, because we're going to go through that. This is now just like an ending monologue, so if you were just here for that other content, thank you so much. Please hit subscribe before you go. Hit the like button. I'd really appreciate it. So some people were now getting into the inside baseball of my political involvement. Some folks have asked me if I'm going to get back to be doing any of LP history. Yes, eventually I will. I am taking a break right now of anything to do with the National Libertarian Party. We have our own scandal. I do call out my own. Okay? Go back and listen to the show. That will explain in detail why I resigned. I left a position that I was very good at, that I very much enjoyed, that was very precious to me, because I am not going to tolerate an old boys club, and I'm not going to tolerate weak-spined men who put up with internal harassment of anybody, but particularly of women. I do have a bit of an old-fashioned view in that way. You know, I'm obviously not a trad wife, but I do have some trad views in that way, that I do think naturally men are protective of women. And I have zero respect for cowards, because me as a woman, I'm not a coward. And I have no respect for that. And allowing internal harassment, even when actual formal internal process complaints were made, is not something anybody should be expected to tolerate. So I didn't tolerate it, because sometimes things happen to you, because I'm not blaming a victim here, but I am saying that you can choose to stay in a situation where bad things are happening to you, and that is your choice then to do that. And I was like, you know what? I don't have to be here. And if these people are not going to do the right thing, see you later. And further, leadership was allowing a certain person to get away with public sexually harassing comments to female members. Now, I wouldn't appreciate it either if it was being happened female to male either. This just happened to be male to female. Not jokes. I don't care about raunchy jokes. Anyone who listens to the shows that I do, believe it or not, on Robert's Rules of Order, knows that I don't mind raunchy jokes. But when someone's being seriously sexually insulting, yes, that is wrong from the leadership of the third largest political party in the country, and I'm fucking not going to put up with it. It was as simple as that. It really was. I just wasn't going to put up with it a second longer. But when it comes to the LP itself, I still absolutely love the party. I could not be a fan of certain leadership at certain times. Leadership isn't the party. Leadership comes and goes. Hardcore libertarian as they get. I'm not going anywhere, but I am taking a break. So it probably means that I will be taking a break from doing some history shows for a while, but who knows? Next week, I might be doing a history show. I'm not stopping my historical work. I'm probably, though, not going to be doing any commentary shows on National Party business. It's just not worth, what is the leftist term? The emotional labor that I have to put in to tolerate it. So there are other places to go to that content. Probably leading up to convention, I'll be doing more commentary, but who knows? I'm fickle, you know. I might change my mind next week. So I appreciate the super chat. I'm not so sure I said thank you earlier. And let me see if I can find it, because I can't tell you much how much I appreciate those of you who support me. So let me add this here. Thank you so much for the super chat, Dave. And Dave says, Trump and the LP, to a degree, have given these assholes the idea that their ideas are acceptable. Exactly right. And when I was on the LNC, I was constrained. And that was a voluntary constraint. I'm not blaming anybody for that. When you're in leadership, you know, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. I sometimes was way too mouthy for somebody in leadership. If you go back, you know, I'd been in leadership for 10 years. I've grown a lot in that amount of time and got much more circumspect in what I said when I was in a leadership position. But, you know, as I said in one of my patron-only shows, you know, right now I'm singing George Michael's Freedom in my head because I can say what I want right now. Because I'm not in leadership. I'm just a member. And I can speak my mind. And I was finding it very, very difficult to not have the freedom to speak my mind. And we have a growing bigotry problem in the party. Now, we could do a whole show on the bigotry is irrational and repugnant plank and my changing views on that. That probably would be a good discussion to have. That wouldn't really necessarily be getting into current National Party business, but past events. But I'm going to take off now because I have to record another show, actually. I'm going to be recording an episode of Jurassic Dictionary tonight, and you guys can, see that on my Twitter feed. So I hope you guys have an awesome evening. Thank you for tuning in. And again, I'm going to be trying to broadcast more often, but I am finishing up a couple projects. But have a good night. Mi guapas de libertad.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business, not because they want to